Hi everybody, welcome back to Startup X. This is lecture 5, Growth. In lecture 4 we talked about Puppy and how to make an MVP that users love. Now we gotta get you more users, and that's what growth is all about. It's really what a startup lives on. That's what makes a startup different than like a normal business. Really, the main goal of a startup is to grow as fast as possible, regardless of anything really. So how do you measure growth? What is it? Really, growth is a difference between conversion and churn. These two elements determines how fast you're growing. Conversion is when somebody actually adopts your product and becomes a customer, or in the sense of hiring, when somebody joins your team and becomes an employee. Churn is when they're actually done using your product or when they leave your company. And then the difference between these two equals your growth rate. This is what everybody cares about. You gotta keep a really close eye on what your growth rate is gonna be. You gotta pick the right matrix, okay? You gotta pick the North Star of your company and figure out what statistic you're gonna follow to determine whether or not you're becoming successful and to track your growth. There's a ton of different kind of matrix that companies have and use. The matrix you should use should really be alongside the same matrix that the other companies in your vertical are looking at. And also one that aligns your mission and values, so it's really easy to follow. That's the North Star of your company. Different matrix are signups. How many people sign up to your app or to your company or to your product or join your company? Activations. They signed up. How many people actually go in and log in and start using the thing? And then how many are actually active? What percentage of these people are actually being active? Important. And then user engagement, which is different for every product. For example, like for a messaging app, the number of sent messages is something that you want to look at. If you have a social media platform, the number of shared pics or photos is something that you want to look at. So there's more word of mouth. My favorite, CAC, which is customer acquisition cost. How much does it cost to actually acquire this customer? CLV, customer lifetime value, which is essentially how much money you're making off of this customer over the duration of how long they stay on before they drop off and become churn. Obviously, you determine that by the number of churn, people who leave, versus the number of users you had at the beginning of the week, beginning of the month. MRR is important, monthly recurring revenue, to track a SaaS product's success. ARPU, average revenue per user. Just take all total revenue divided by the number of users. There's more NPS, which is the Net Promoter Score. Strongly, likely, versus like strongly against it, dislike. 0, 10, they tell you to pick one. There's a ton of different ways to track the growth of your startup. It's kind of like a sport. If you're a relief pitcher, you can care less what your batting average is. So pick the right one that you want to follow. Again, make sure it's aligned with the vertical that you're in and really with the mission and values of what your company stands for. It makes things a lot simpler. There are 3 main types of growth. Sticky, which is the best, repeat paying customers, people that keep coming back and use your product. There's viral, which is word of mouth. It's good, that's what you aim to do, which is, again, build a product so good that people share with their friends and paid. Sometimes you gotta pay for it. Paid, you really gotta look at the CLV and the CAC. You know, you gotta look at your payback. If you're a startup and you're getting payback on this on this type of growth strategy in over 12 months, you're probably gonna be in trouble. That's not what you want. The different kind of paid strategies are search engine marketing, display ads, street marketing, Facebook ads, direct mailers. There's a B2B sales. All of these different strategies will help you grow your company. Groupon deals. When you're looking at these things, don't try all of them at once. Don't stack them because you'll get confused on which one is working. Try one channel at a time. Track it. Remember, pick your matrix, grow the matrix, track it, and if it's not working, move on. The different types of tactics in growth are, while you're even building your product, you should look at internalization, because that's the quickest way you can grow is by going international. And if you can't fit enough code in a different language, you're gonna be in trouble. Make sure you do that before your competition, especially in a globalized economy. People will find out what you're doing and jump in and try to capture that market share. If you're slow, you don't have internalization going on. Virality is also extremely important. You gotta figure out for which each viral blast, what your payload is, which is how many people you hit. How many of them convert? How frequent? In SEO, there are 3 things, or search engine optimization, there are 3 things you need to think about. Keyword search, you gotta have the right ones. Second of it is getting valuable links from high authority websites. And third is having the right headers on your site maps. You also want to keep your eye on retention. You want your users to stay long term. It's the best indicator of product market fit. And you have to look at your vertical, kind of like when you're picking your matrix. Figure out in your vertical what good retention looks like. In social media, it's different than in an e-commerce app, for example. That's it for lecture 5, everybody. See you next week for lecture 6, team and culture.